Hey guys, Bryson here. Welcome to the Tommy Bryson Show. And today we're going to react to a lady that paid off $102,000 in student loan debt. Now, by the way, that is a ton of money, no matter how you slice it. And I'm so curious about exactly, hey, what does this lady do in college? Like a whole doctor or whatever? We'll see right here, guys, okay? Now, if you guys are new here, I post videos every single day, so make sure to also subscribe and hit the bell to get notified. And on top of that, also destroy the like button. Now, without further ado, let's find out exactly how this lady paid off so much money in student loan debt. Yes, I know, my headphone's right here. Let me go ahead and take it off real quick and let's get started.
My name is Mandy Velez. I'm 28 years old.
So she's a journalist, by the way, guys. A journalist that spent $102,000.
And I'm debt-free.
She's what, 28 years old? Was that 28?
Mandy Velez. I'm 28 years old and I'm debt-free.
Yeah, so she is 28 years old and she is debt-free. All right, pretty good. So far, so good. This millennial paid off $102,000. Why do they have to say like the generation? Like, oh, this Zoomer, this Boomer, this Millennial, this Gen Z. Like, does it matter? They did something great. Does it matter the generation they're from? Although, like, millennials tend to have a lot more debt, okay? So I understand that too. By the way, ACORN is collaborating with all these companies. So it's like CNBC plus ACORN. Pretty good stuff. Do I use ACORN? No, I use M1 Finance.
I got serious and I took on multiple side hustles from dog walking.
By the way, it is very hard, but the cool thing, the bad thing about this is basically, once you graduate with this much debt, one of the only ways to pay it off this fast is to basically take on other jobs and to make paying off that debt like your main priority. It's not like, hey, I'm gonna use all of my income and pay it off in a year or 2 years. No, it's usually gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna use all the extra income, right? Because I still have to live, transportation, shelter, food, all that stuff. And then I'm gonna take some more side hustles and more jobs and just do that basically just to put all that money towards the debt. It's insane and it's a lot of sacrifice.
Cat sitting, babysitting humans.
Cat sitting, really? And she said babysitting humans. It's interesting, you know. People like pay for cat sitting, dog sitting, you know, first world country.
To freelance writing, I did all of it.
Velez graduated from the University of Pittsburgh in 2013.
No way, the University of Pittsburgh. Crazy story, guys. Okay, I actually went there for like a little workshop, for like a PhD workshop. So when I was actually going to college, we actually went there like for a workshop and I stayed there for around 2 to 3 weeks, actually like almost a month actually in Pittsburgh. And we had like a whole class and something like that. And they said like, hey, if you want, you can apply for the school. And I actually thought about going there to get a master's degree. And that would have been so expensive and would have kept me on the job market for so long. The only thing I have from Pittsburgh is basically like a hoodie, like the yellow hoodie. If you notice, in all of my profile pictures on YouTube, I have like the yellow hoodie. That yellow hoodie is actually from Pittsburgh. It's like from Pittsburgh University. Wow, small world, small world. How do you play this?
I was born and raised in Philadelphia, and I went to the University of Pittsburgh. After that, I
Very expensive, by the way. It's not cheap.
moved to New York to start my journalism career.
Interesting. New York is so expensive, and journalism, $100,000 in student loan debt. Not, for example, including, hey, well, how much did room and board cost? Or, for example, did you work while you were there? Did you get financial aid? I can only imagine how much it actually costs, okay? You're talking about 4 years, 100K, so that's like 25. Most likely tuition was around like 35 or like 40. It can get very expensive.
And I've been here ever since.
Velez graduated with $75,000 in student loans.
Wow, so she actually graduated with less, and I'm guessing she was like, you know what, I'll be fine. And then like accumulated more, she borrowed more money. How did she do it? I don't get it.
The light bulb moment that happened for me was I guess the second I graduated. I printed out all of my loan information and totaled everything up because I had a bunch of different loans from different.
Yeah, so you have like subsidized loans, unsubsidized loans. The subsidized one is basically the interest rate stays like fixed, and also they don't charge you any interest until you graduate. The unsubsidized loans basically start getting interest like right away. So it gets a little crazy, you know, when you have 100K, even getting charged like 4%, or let's say 5%, that's around $5,000 every single year that's being charged. So that's how crazy it gets. It keeps adding up. and up and up and up, and the payments are insane. Think about it, right? It's almost like a third of a house. A house might go for like 300K, but you also have 100K in the entire, like, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Different places. I saw my total and was just in disbelief. I felt sick.
It feels like you're drowning. Like you're drowning. It feels like there is no way in heck I can pay this money off, especially making, for example, 40,000 or 50K or 60K as a journalist. Because again, transportation, food, utilities, and everything else in a budget. You gotta think about that. And also shelter. Don't forget about the shelter.
She calculated if she only made the minimum monthly payment of $300, it would take her until 2046 to
2046. This video came out in 2021, and she did this 6 years ago. So I'm guessing she did this in 2014. 2046 would have been like almost like 20 something years, guys, right? That's insane. And it's like having like a little pet. It's like paying for a house. It's insane.
pay off her student loans.
It's funny because my main channel video today was about how student loans are so expensive and they're actually a trap. And we actually use these exact same figures saying, hey, what if your student loan debt was like 300 bucks? Okay, this is crazy.
She would be 54 years old.
54 years old. This woman is 28 and she's did it in 60 years. So she was 22 when she found out. 54. That's crazy, guys.
Also realized it would add $96,000 in interest to her $75,000 in loans.
Because, by the way, it's for profit, okay? So it's not like, hey, I lend you money. All right, I'm your friend. No, I want some money back. And they make double their money, sometimes even twice their money. Keep that in mind. And by the way, just yesterday, I learned that basically from this book. Which book is it? This book right here, Debt-Free Degree, by the way. By the way, again, this is like fake money. So don't think I'm over here like, oh my gosh, Tommy's so rich. No, it's just like fake money. Don't worry about it. But overall, this book taught me basically, you know, people that get, for example, like student loan forgiveness, only 1% of those people actually get accepted. Most applications actually get rejected. So when you say like, hey, I want to get student loan forgiveness, usually you have a very, very low chance of actually getting that money forgiven. Be very careful with all this stuff, man. School is not cheap.
Velez's first journalism job out of college paid $40,000.
$40,000, as I guessed. Not that much money. After taxes, that puts her like, I think in the 12% tax bracket, making maybe like around like 35 to 33,000. You know, New York, rent and all that stuff, insane. You have transportation, insane. So many things here. So it's not like you make 40K, you keep it. No, you have taxes, transportation, food, shelter, also utilities, all those things, and everything else you actually want. If you have a credit card or if you have any other debts, it can basically be like, oh, all right, I graduated, now I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I would never get a degree where it's like basically like twice or 4 times the money to actually get the degree, but I'm gonna get paid 40K. It's insane. I would have probably just gone to community college and then a 4-year degree. But this way, the University of Pittsburgh, great school, but so much money.
Subtract New York City rent, along with living expenses, and she wouldn't have much spare money to throw at her loans.
Yeah, you see, same thing I mentioned. Same thing I mentioned. That's basically transportation, food, utilities, and shelter. That's what that is in that budget, right? Same thing I just mentioned. Overall, you wouldn't have any money left over. It's insane.
After I saw my loan payment and got over the initial shock, I knew there had to be a better way. So I Googled pay off student loans.
I wonder who she found. Let's say she might have found like Dave Ramsey. She might have found Erica, might have found me, might have found, no, this is 6 years ago. So 6 years ago, Graham wasn't there, I wasn't there, Erica wasn't there, maybe Dave Ramsey. That's like, Dave Ramsey's been around for like 30 years. 30 years from now, I want to say like, oh yeah, Tommy's been around for a very long, 30 years talking about money and finance, man. Dave Ramsey is like, oh wow, that's insane.
Fast.
She had taken out a total of 5 loans, ranging from $7,500 to over $32,000, with interest rates between 6%,
9%, 11%. Guys, today loans are like 4 to 5%. It's not crazy interest rates are.
and 11.75%.
Imagine, just like quick math here, guys. Okay, I love my math. You guys know this, right? $75,000 at an 11% rate, guys. That's around $8,250 every single year, divided by 12. Okay, just in what? So how is she gonna pay this off? Well, you know, it's like this. I'm saying 11%, but in reality, it's only one loan is 11%, and some of them are basically like 6%. When you average it out, most likely you get the amount. But that's why she was gonna be 54 by the time she was done with it. No wonder. These loans are insane.
She used the snowball method to pay off her debt.
By the way, the snowball method only makes sense if what you want to build is motivation. Mathematically speaking, what you want to do is basically called the avalanche method. And by the way, she probably found Dave Ramsey. That's how I know this. Because basically, the snowball method says, hey, you want to pay the loan with the lowest amount first. Doesn't matter the interest rate. And you build momentum. But if you use the avalanche method, you pay the loan basically with the highest APR and then work your way down. That way you save more money mathematically. But as long as you're paying it off, I really don't care. Choose whatever one you want and whichever works for you. But for me, I like saving money, so I use the avalanche method when it comes to any debt. So yeah. But she did it. She did it.
That meant she would focus on the $7,500 loan first while paying the minimum on the rest and work her way up.
And this happens to be that her $7,500 loan actually was the highest one, so she actually got lucky with that.
Her $40,000 salary didn't leave much room to pay down debt.
Living in New York City is hard as it is, but...
By the way, it depends. You know, it depends. Let's be honest here. I wanna cut the shh. You know what I'm saying? Living in New York is expensive, obviously, but you don't have to live in the city, right? You don't have to live in Manhattan. You can always live, for example, in the Bronx. You can pay $150 for like a room to actually stay in. Is it comfortable? The answer is no. But your housing cost could be, for example, $150. That's around $600 every single month, okay? Which cuts down everything, which means, hey, I'll travel to the city and that way I'm save money, but do you want to live in the Bronx? It all depends on you and what you want to do. I live in the Bronx, everything's fine here. But some people are scared. I don't know why. I do know why, but it's just people. People are people everywhere.
Living in a expensive city like this with student loans is even harder. I had to really think about every career move I made.
Interesting. And by the way, you just can't quit a job, you know, because you have to stay there to pay off these loans.
Not from a place of, okay, this is like the job I really want, but from a place of, is this going to pay the bills?
And by the way, I want to talk about this a little bit, guys, okay? Some people are so ultra focused on what I like, what I want to do, they forget what I have to do. When I was in college, I had around 3 to 4 jobs. Did I like them? The answer was no. Some of them I actually hated, but I had to do that. I worked a job, I hated it for almost like 2-3 years, okay? I did that because I had to do it. But all of that money, I used it to basically create more wealth, okay? That's the idea. So sometimes what I'm saying is, sometimes it's okay to work a job as long as you have a good reason to why you're doing it. In this case, if you don't like a job, but it's getting you out of debt, that's also good. You leave a job basically when you have a good process, but I don't like the idea, oh my God, I'm gonna quit my job because I don't like it, I'm not happy here. You know, be very careful with that stuff, you know. It has to be very toxic, very dangerous, and very like bad health-wise to when you say like, hey, I gotta quit, okay, no matter what. But usually, very low chance to actually have a good excuse to quit a job.
I had to live in places that had long commutes.
Oh, so she did do it. She did do it. So she did take the L when it comes to, I hate commuting, guys. But she had to do it because basically, hey, my work is an hour away or whatever, but I have to do it because guess what? I got to pay these loans, you know? So I get it. I understand it. It's tough. It's rough. I hated having to go to college. By the way, college for me was in White Plains. I live in the Bronx. So that was basically like an hour and a half away. So 3 hours of transportation, but I also had a job in what's that place? Picasso? I don't know what the place was. Mount Kisco. And that was super far away. So I also had to go from there all the way to Mount Kisco, like 30 minutes away, then come back all the way to the Bronx and then basically try to figure things out, okay? Sometimes I was so tired, guys, that I fell asleep on the train and I went like 30 minutes away from my stop and I basically had to get off and take it right back. It was insane, but it was worth it. I appreciate every single moment. I just hated the time I wasted on those transportations, man. A car would have done me good, but it would have cost me a ton of money, so I'm happy I didn't do it.
I had to, you know, make some sacrifices in terms of the activities and the things that I could take on outside of work. And
I respect that. She's saying basically, I did not have the money to go out, have fun with my friends or whatever it was because I had this priority. I respect this a lot. So shout out to you. I respect it a lot.
Do outside of work.
In the first 5 years, her average payment was over $1,100 a month.
After
Awesome. The first 5 years, 1,000. Yeah, so I mean 5 years, guys, remember, right? 5 years is 60 payments, right? Because 60 months, right? Multiplied by 1,166, like I said, that's around $69,000. But again, you have also interest accumulating, so keep that in mind. But I'm so happy, I'm so proud of this girl, man. She did great.
About 5 years of paying the $1,000 a month, I decided I was done. I didn't want to pay loans anymore.
By the way, this usually happens. It's called the I'm almost there and I'm about to give up phase, right? And that's when you're like at the finish line. You know, like when you're in the gym, if you ever work out and you're like, last set, I can't anymore, I'm done, right? No, but you actually can, you have the strength there. So usually when you're at the finish line, you're like, oh no, I'm done, I'm not doing it anymore. No, that's when you gotta say, hey, I'm doing this, F all that other stuff, okay? I'm doing this because basically I gotta do it, okay? So I get where this comes from. It's a lot of frustration and like pent up emotions, but you gotta do it. And she did it.
I just wanted to be free.
By December 2018, Velez still owed around $30,000 on her loans.
But tell me, how is it possible she pays $70,000, but she still owes that much? Again, interest. This is not free. This is why it's called a trap. It's kind of like if she owed more than this, in reality, it could be a problem where basically she's paying so much money, but she's not actually hitting the actual amount she actually owes. That's why it's so difficult. Interest is not a joke, guys, okay? Interest is not a joke, and it does not stop accumulating. This is why these companies make so much money. It's like, if I know you can't pay me back, but you have to pay me back, the answer is, why don't I just grab all this money, give it to you, and basically make it so your monthly payment is just interest. This way, you will owe me money forever. That's what they do. It's crazy, right?
So she decided to pay off the rest of her debt as aggressively and quickly as possible.
I respect that.
And I was able to pay off $32,000 in about 8 months.
And
Yeah, look at that, $32,000 in about 8 months. She could have done that sooner, but she just went step by step, right? You gotta be aggressive. I think Dave Ramsey says like you gotta be gazelle aggressive. I say just be aggressive, honestly, but you have to be very priority like driven and just like go ahead and basically just like destroy it. Destroy it.
in the end, Velez paid a grand total of $102,000.
$27,000 extra than she actually borrowed. These people are I can't curse on this channel. These people are scammers. It's a scam.
Including $27,000 in interest on top of her $75,000.
It's insane, right? I'm telling you, it's no joke. And imagine all that sacrifice for 6 years. Like, it's easy to say, oh, you paid it off. It's like, shut up, right? No, it's kind of like 6 years of not being able to do anything. 6 years of 1 hour commute. 6 years of all this other stuff. It is tough, and not everyone gets there.
Worth of loans.
When I finally paid off my debt, I decided to throw a funeral for my
Oh, that's actually pretty cool. She threw a funeral for her student loan debt. That's actually pretty interesting. I'm laughing because people are so creative, man. I would never have that idea. I decided to throw a funeral for my debt. That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, I guess I like it. You know, dead and gone and never coming back. I like that.
my student loans. It symbolized a moment of mourning more than it did a full celebration. Yes.
Yeah, it is happy, but it's also understanding like what you gave up to do that, you know. I respect this a lot. Now this girl is free. Now she has another $1,000 to go ahead and invest. Be aggressive with investing too, Perez.
I was happy and celebratory that I got rid of my student debt, but it was just sad to me what I had to go through in the first place.
Exactly what I said, you know, it is tough. You know, that's why I wonder if she says in this video what she wished she would have done differently. I think that would help a lot of people, especially young kids.
With student loans out of the picture, Velez is already eyeing her next goal.
The next thing I want to do is to go on vacation.
She deserves it. She deserves it.
First, I'm fortunate enough where, you know, I do have extra funds left over to treat myself. And then I'm going to save for a home down payment.
Okay, listen, right? This is very common. When you go from one bad situation to a worse one, gotta be very careful, right? Because Perez, if she goes ahead and says, you know what, I'm done with student loan debt, but now I'm gonna buy a house I can't afford, and now you have $400,000 worth of debt, right? And now you have 30 years to pay it off. You see what I'm saying here? So make sure when you do buy this house, you don't get into the same trap of saying like, hey, it's my shelter, it's this. You know, when you buy a home, make sure it's a home you can afford and pay off in less than 15 years. That's my advice. If you can't, don't buy it.
I would love to be a homeowner and get a dog and just finally start the life that I've been waiting for so long.
Your life started the minute you were born. There is no start my life or anything like that. You start right now as soon as you are. My advice, by the way, the video is over here. Shout out to this girl, man, for doing such great work. But as far as like where she is right now, priority should be, hey, let me save 6 months worth of emergencies. That way I'm good to go. If I lose my job, you never know what's gonna happen. On top of that, let me start investing, build those habits also. And then save for that house I actually wanna buy. Home ownership is awesome. And home ownership versus renting, usually home ownership is gonna be cheaper in the long term. However though, you'll be very careful from going, for example, from, hey, I have all this extra money, let me just put it towards a house now. You have no money towards investing. Investing is going to be your core deliberator when it comes to your wealth in the future. I think I misused that word deliberator, but just go on with me, whatever, doesn't really matter. But overall, I'm proud of her. Just make sure you don't get into another trap. But overall, guys, that is awesome. Only thing different I would have done is basically, I would have used the avalanche method. I would have been more focused from the very beginning. And on top of that, it's easy to say that, right? I would have been more focused. Who knows what you went through? And on top of that, I just would never go to school like that. I would go to a 2-year school first, work while I'm there, save up all that money, and then when I go to a 4-year school to do my other 2 years, I pay for those in cash. That way when I graduate, I don't gotta go through any of this stuff, man. But overall, guys, that is about it for this video. Comment down below and let me know exactly what would you do if you woke up tomorrow with $100K in student loan debt. Would you be able to handle it? Comment down below, let me know. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified. On top, if you want to text me, well, join my Patreon, link down below, or send me a DM on Instagram at TommyBryson. And before I go, if you want to watch another video, guys, well, here's a video right here, and click my face right here. See you guys tomorrow, and as always, peace.